Welcome to the Lost and Found podcast. I'm your host, Amanda. Join me each week as I rediscover my life's meaning, my passions, and my place in this world after leaving behind the only dream I've ever known. If you are dealing with self-loss, identity changes, career transitions, or you are still trying to figure out your life's purpose, then you're not alone. Join me. Wanderers are always welcome. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Lost and Found podcast. This is your host, Amanda, and Dirks. He's right behind me. So if you hear growling, that is not my stomach. That is my house horse hanging out. What's up, everybody? How's it going? Hi, Wanderers. So nice to see you again, or chat with you again, I suppose, if you're listening on Spotify and Apple, but nice to see you if you're on YouTube now that I've figured out how to make a YouTube channel. But it's been fun. It's been a good week. Our interview with Karen Blaine would have come out by now. By the time it has not been released yet at the time of this recording, but it will come out on March 4th. So go back and listen to that. But by the time this episode does air, it will have been released. And so I hope all of you enjoyed listening to that episode. I had such a nice time chatting with her. She was so sweet and kind and has sent me her next book before it gets released. So congratulations to Karen on writing her 7th book. Things have been good. We've been working. We had a big week this week. I learned how to make a YouTube video and it's gonna come out March 4th. So my very first one. Go listen, go download, go subscribe, go watch. Is it gonna be perfect? Absolutely not. But I am proud of myself for learning something new, even if it is amateur hour on that channel. But you know what? You can't get better until you start. You can't gain a new skill until you practice some more. So it is what it is. But I'm very proud of that. That happened. I paid off my grad student loans as well. So I got that covered and off my back. And now I have a little more financial freedom, which is very encouraging for me because I don't dive into finances on this show. You know, that's not the point of the show. It doesn't fully play a part into what I'm trying to say, but it does play a part in how I can advance this platform and how I can advance myself and where I want to invest my skill sets or trainings or upgrading equipment and things like that. You know, finances will tend to play a role, but that has alleviated a lot of stress for me. So I'm very grateful for that and proud of that. But that happened this week. Dirks did not jump on anybody or get in any fights. He's been such a good boy. So we're proud of him for doing what he's supposed to do. And I am so excited for the week ahead. It's finally getting warmer a little bit in Nashville. I hope the weather's not here to trick us. It looks like it's going to be in the 60s-ish, 50s-ish for the next week. So keep your fingers crossed that everything's fine. Everything else in the world is not fine, but it would be really nice to at least enjoy being outside and getting some sunshine to remind us not to hate ourselves so much. Anyway, today I got up, took Dirks on a walk, and then I went to the gym and did a workout, and then came back and got ready to meet up with my friends Lindsay and Morgan for brunch, and then came home and still had some energy left and figured, you know what, why not? We're going to jump on the mic and chat with the Wanderers and see what they're up to and kind of share this idea of a topic that I wanted to cover today. I started following another creator on Instagram. I believe his name is Jude Friedman. I'm going to say Friedman. Jude Friedman. And his Instagram handle is Die Without Regrets. I found him because I was following Kindle Tool and she reposted something from him, or I think she repurposed his content but gave him credit for it. And I was reading through his profile and it's absolutely fascinating, very similar to what I'm trying to do, where he's putting up quotes or instructions about how to live a more productive life. And you can hire him to be a consultant to help you in your business for productivity and strategies for leveling up, so to speak, if you're an entrepreneur. And he has talking head videos where he's just talking directly to camera and stuff like that, which seems to be kind of popular for people that are in this particular space. I would like to eventually start doing more of those videos where like face to face of me just staring at the camera, giving you like a one minute max 90-second speech. But I don't have quite as nice of a camera. So, and my ring light broke. So I have no way of holding up my phone to stand it anywhere. And it just, it wouldn't look good. I digress. Today's topic is inspired by Jude, and he posted something that said, here are 10 uncomfortable questions you must ask yourself if your biggest fear is not fulfilling your potential. And that really stuck out to me because I know that a lot of times when you're losing your sense of purpose and you're losing your sense of meaning out of life, some of that could come from you thinking you're supposed to be meeting a particular goal. And for whatever reason, you're just never hitting it. You're never actually making it to that end result. And sometimes maybe that's because you are chasing the wrong thing. Like you're working really hard, but you're out of alignment for whatever reason, or you're really worried that you're never actually going to get the thing that it is that you want. And so you start procrastinating a bit. And as long as you procrastinate, then you won't ever actually fail because you never would have tried to begin with. So reaching your potential doesn't really matter to you anymore. Or maybe you are looking for whatever it is your potential is supposed to be, but there's nobody around investing in you to help you get there. You know, it could be a cycle, it could be any number of things, but reaching your potential or not fulfilling your potential is something that I've been concerned with at various points throughout my life. And so I thought it would be interesting to read through his content and ask the questions on an episode, and I will answer them for me. But I would love to hear from any of you if you have followed him before or you noticed this post and you resonated with it as well or not. I'd love to hear your answers to these 10 questions too. So, send me a DM. You can email me hello@podcastforthelost.com. You can comment on the YouTube video or directly onto Spotify or Apple. Happy to chat with you in any of those mediums, but let's dive into it. Let's talk about it. Mostly also because I'm pretty sure I've been playing phone tag with my mom and she might call me back at some point. So I got to get moving. Got to get moving and grooving. We have maybe an hour. Amanda, talk fast. Got it. Okay. First uncomfortable question to ask yourself if you are afraid of not fulfilling your potential is, if the next 1,000 days looked exactly like yesterday, would you be closer or further away from your dreams? The next 1,000 days looks like a little less than 3 years, 2.73 years. So a little less than 3 years. If the next 1,000 days looked exactly like yesterday, would you be closer or further away from your dreams? Well, yesterday, if I'm being totally honest, I just spent time with Dirks. We went to the park, did a big walk, took a nap because I had been out late the previous night before and did not sleep very well or much. So I needed to rest. So if I was just couch rotting for the next 3 years, then no, I would be much further away from my dreams. Now, I do think that you have to take that with a grain of salt, right? Like looking at yourself critically, yes, but in the grand scheme of things, how often are you doing that particular behavior? And if you were to repeat that particular behavior at that same rate for the next 1,000 days, would you be closer or further away from your goal? And I think my answer is that I would be closer to my goal. On average, I am maximizing my time with my job and with my podcast and trying to figure out how to become more efficient with my time and my investments, right? Where do I want to spend my most valuable possession, which is my time. And I would rather dedicate that to learning something new and figuring out how to turn this possibly into a business or a brand or a community, right? I need to make sure that whatever it is that I'm doing every single day provides value to the listeners, to you, to the viewers, to anyone that wants to be a part of this journey with me. I have to make sure that that's happening. And so I think overall, my answer is yes, I would be closer. But let's hope. Let's hope. But ask yourself that. What did you do yesterday? At any time when you're listening to this podcast, if the next 1,000 days looked exactly like what you did yesterday, would you be closer or further away from your goal? And be honest. It was a good day, a bad day, a veggie day, a gluttonous day, and how often are you engaging in that particular behavior to kind of check yourself on your averages. Question number 2. If a stranger studied your routine, what would they assume your priorities are? Well, if they studied my routine, it would look a whole lot like this. You wake up at 5 to let the dog out, and then you go back to sleep. You turn your 6 a.m. alarm off because you just stayed up a little too late, either working on your podcast or trying to disassociate. And then you get up at 7 instead. Take your dog out by 7:30. You walk him for anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, depending on what's going on outside. And if he meets any little friends, you come back home. You make your breakfast. You hop on your first calls by 9 a.m. You're working until about 4:30, and then you take Dirks back out to the dog park, let him hang out with his little friends for an hour, bring him home, feed him, and then you either do a Peloton ride at home or you go to the gym. And that's pretty much my life, if you were to look at it in a nutshell, and then throw in every now and there podcast interviews, podcast editing, podcast recordings, calls with your media manager, etc. That's my life in a nutshell. And every now and then, yes, like I might go to a happy hour with friends once or twice a month. We are starting book club up again. They would probably notice I'm not as avid of a reader as I should be. There's so much time and effort that goes into producing this show, like creating, editing, hosting, recording, coming up with content, designing that content, making sure it gets published, all that. I feel like one of those people, I don't know if it was in Fantasia in Disney or whatever, but like, do you remember those cartoons where it'd be like the one man band where they'd have like a xylophone and a tuba and a harmonica in front of their face and a accordion and drums on their stomach or something like that, and a string guitar somewhere, and like they're playing all the different instruments all at once because it's sitting on top of their body. Like that's kind of how I feel sometimes throughout this process. Like I'm a one-man band where I'm doing all the different steps constantly. So I think that that's probably the highest priorities. They're going to see Dirks, they'll see work, they'll see the gym, they'll see the podcast. That's pretty much where the majority of my time goes. And for the most part, maybe they'll think I'm boring, but it's all stuff that makes me a better person. It keeps me moving, metaphorically and literally. Moving forward is really important to me. That's most likely what somebody would see if they were to look at my routine, I think. Number 3, what's the biggest lie you tell yourself about why you aren't where you want to be? Oh man, I probably tell myself a lot of lies. A lot of those are probably stemming from insecurities and negative belief systems that I've ingrained in myself over the 3 decades of my life. I think most recently, the biggest lie I've probably told myself about why I'm not where I want to be is because I don't believe, or I told myself in the lie told me that I don't have anything valuable to provide to other people, and that I'm just talking out of my ass most of the time, and nobody's going to relate to me, and therefore I shouldn't be trying to compete with all the other gurus or mindfulness coaches or mindset therapists or psychologists or authors or podcasters in this particular wellness space. If I have no background in it, why am I magically claiming to offer something? And that's a lie, because everyone has a story. Everybody has what now moments in their life, and everyone needs a friend. Everyone needs someone to help them feel seen. And just because I may not be a household name, and just because I might be just an average girl on the internet, it doesn't mean that there aren't other men or women or individuals out there who can appreciate someone like me, or can appreciate my story, or see themselves in my story. The same way that I see myself in all of these other content creators, or the same way that I see lessons that I can learn or take home with me from all these other content creators. So I think that's really the biggest lie lately that I've told myself, is that what if what happened to you wasn't really that bad? And what if what happened to you isn't actually a valuable story or experience that other people can learn from? It's a lie. It is. So I encourage you to really think critically, look internally, and think about what are the lies that you've been telling yourself lately. And how are those lies preventing you from reaching your potential? Number 4, if your 12-year-old self met you today, would they be proud or disappointed? I'm pretty sure I've brought this up before, but 12-year-old me, or that around that age, somewhere between 11 to 14, I can't remember when the diary was written, but when we were younger, and my parents would take my younger brother and I on trips or vacations. My father would go to DC a lot when we were growing up. He had a lot of contracts there and would work there often and travel. And so one of the times, all 4 of us went. And my mom, when we were younger, would have us write journals or daily entries of things that we did on our family trips. So that way we could remember. I don't know if she just wanted us to be distracted, like to give us quote unquote homework on a trip to make us go do something else, or if she was trying to like stimulate us a bit to just either be creative or think critically about our experience and like share our emotions better. But whatever it was, my dad kept the journals from when we were on the family trip to DC, and in that journal is an entry from me where I talk about going to the FBI building for the first time and pointing up. There's a photo of me pointing up at the sign, the J. Edgar Hoover sign, and I wrote in the journal entry about how excited I was to go to that building that day and how cool I thought it was, and that I told my dad today that I'm going to work there. I'm going to work there someday. And then lo and behold, 12, 15 years later, I did. And I came back there and got a job there and started working there full time. And I made it come to fruition. So I think 12-year-old-ish me would have had a high conviction of, really, she wouldn't write that down if she didn't mean it. And so if 12-year-old me met me now, she'd be very confused about why I disobeyed her, I think. And I'll have to explain to her, no, technically I didn't disobey you. I did it. We do get there. We make it happen, but it will eventually cost you your integrity. It's going to eventually cost you it's going to ask you for your value system, and it's going to cost you who you are at your core, and you're going to have to make a decision about whether or not you want to keep it. And we decided to keep it. As hard of a decision as that was, to give up what you used to love and what you thought you were going to do forever, you chose yourself. You chose yourself over giving up everything that you are to an amorphous system that could care less about chewing you up and spitting you out the next day. You did meet your goal, but I think you gained far more than you realized that you would in such a short amount of time. So I hope that she would understand that and be proud of that answer, but she probably would be a little disappointed that I disobeyed her, or that her prediction did not work out the way that she thought it would, which is, understandable. But yeah, ask yourself, if your 12-year-old self met you today, would they be proud or disappointed? And if they would be disappointed, really look at why. Figure that out, journal about it, talk to a friend, talk to a therapist, get professional help if you need it. Let go of the things that you know are holding you back, which is easier said than done. If you're engaging in toxic behavior, if you are still dealing with your addictions, if you are hurting people around you because you're hurt inside, something's going on. Something's keeping you in a place that wants to suck the life out of you. And I really hope that you're not ready to give up. I don't want you to give up. I want you to make that 12-year-old proud. You deserve that. They deserve that. And if you are not in a place where you're proud yet, think about what future you would look like. What version of future you would you be proud of 12 years from now? And then work backwards from there. See what you can come up with that'll help you get to that kind of place. Question number 5. What is the number one thing you are procrastinating on that you know would change your life? Well, starting the podcast would have, if I, 2 years ago, then yeah, that would have been my procrastination that I waited. I should have started in 2022, as soon as I left, but I did not. But that can't be my answer anymore. I would say, I think there's some lifestyle changes I know I need to make in order to elevate the business and elevate the show. And just financially, I've been struggling. And so trying to make sure that I'm not making risky moves without really thinking through my choices and the consequences of those choices. So right now, kind of procrastinating on next steps. I've been thinking about what I need to do. And I've been talking to people who in my support system about what I need to do so that they're not, blindsided when I finally make these decisions. But that's really it. Right now it's lifestyle choices that I need to make and put into play. And I haven't done that yet. But this could fit in for anyone. If you're sitting here thinking about this question, what is the number one thing you are procrastinating on that would change your life? If you're worried about your weight or you're worried about your health, actually implementing your diet differences, actually implementing a workout routine, even if it's really small, even if it's just taking laps around your house and going on a short walk in the mornings, even if it's, okay, I'm not ready to fully engage with an entirely new diet, but I know I can cut snacks. I know I can cut sugary sodas. I know I can do something small and break things down into smaller digestible goals. If you are similar like me, where you're thinking, I want to start my own thing. I want to start my own art. I want to start taking dance classes again. I want to start being more creative, but I'm so nervous people will make fun of my art or whatever version of that is, or my creative writing or whatever. If the number one thing that you're procrastinating is because, think about why you're procrastinating it. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. If you're worried about what other people think, screw that. It doesn't matter what other people think. It matters what you think of yourself. And if you don't like yourself because you are not actually allowing yourself to grow in the way that you want to grow, that's on you. It's not on other people for having opinions. You can't control their opinions. They're always going to have them. They're always going to give them to you, and whether they were solicited or not. So what's it friggin' matter? Think about it. What's the thing that's keeping you from going where you want to go? What's the number one thing that you're procrastinating on to start that would change your life, that would bring you to a better place? I want to know. Send me a DM. What's up? Question number 6. Have you been consistent enough to deserve the results you want? I think for the podcast, yes. I'm showing up. I'm doing everything I can to put out an episode per week, to find content, to elevate the brand, get the branding going, try and talk to someone about a website, get money together to pay for that website, get someone to help me with booking for guests, getting on other business lists so that way other people are aware of my show and want to come on the show, finding guests via networking, meeting more people. I think yes, I've been very consistent to deserve the results that I've gained so far. And I think by continuing to show up each week, the results are going to continue tenfold, double over, as I compound interest. That's what I'm trying to say. I will develop compound interest. But have I been consistent enough in other areas of my life that I want? My fitness? No. Movement happens every day, but in terms of actually weightlifting every 5 to 6 days, no, I haven't done that. That's not as consistent. And I know that consistently hitting my macros, consistently going to the gym, that would help me progress further along with my fitness. But right now, fitness for me is maintenance, stay healthy, stay active. I don't have a physical goal that I'm going after, so I'm not pushing myself the same way that I am with the podcast. I have multiple goals and multiple ways that I want to expand on this particular project. So that's why I think about it a lot more than I do the fitness, and I'm not irritated with myself about my body as much, because I think now that I'm no longer channeling all of these not crazy, but negative thoughts or self-perceptions internally onto myself constantly, I'm not judging myself quite as much. I'm not as angry or upset or embarrassed about my body or why I don't look a certain way, because now that I have a project or I have a creative outlet, I have a way to channel my energy into a direction that will benefit me, that will make me feel better about myself. And the whole point of boosting the self-confidence is key, because if I feel more confident, then I won't be so hateful when some things don't fully go my way. And the truth is, if I'm just not being as 100% consistent with the fitness, then I won't see consistent results. And that's just science. So get on that. Oh, and eat your protein, take your creatine, and get after it. All right. If you knew you couldn't fail, what dream would you go all in on? So probably it's still podcast related, but the leveling up of what I would like to do with the show would probably be next. I would love to eventually write an essay book. I have a dream of kind of doing a cross between Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul and Humans of New York. That Instagram profile crossing with like the nostalgia of personal growth essays from my childhood. That was you may not remember that. If you're younger than me, you may not remember those. But as a millennial in the like 90s, early 2000s, there was a bunch of different books called Chicken Soup for, and then insert the direct audience that they were trying to write for. And I think it was written by 4 like psychologists or 2 psychology therapy related people, and then maybe 2 English majors or something like that. And then other essays were filled in with famous people, actors, singers, directors, whatever, but you didn't know who was writing the essay until it got to the very end and it would be signed off on something. And I don't remember the exact story, but I do remember reading one of the books in the series, and I got to the end of the essay and I was so moved and it just really resonated with me, and I realized that it was Kenan Thompson. I'm from Kenan and Kel from SNL. And I grew up watching all of his shows, and so I remember really enjoying that book and being stunned by who wrote the essays at the end, because they were really personal stories, and it was stuff to help you feel less alone as a kid and help you realize what you're feeling as a teenager is normal and scary and not forever. The pain and the agony and the uncomfortableness you feel as you're growing and moving and changing in those years feels challenging, but it's not forever. And so I remember really liking that style of book, and I would like to do that at some point, do a cross between the essay book and Humans of New York. So we'll see how that works out. No idea if that's going to be something, but that's probably the next dream I would like to go all in on, is finding a way to convert the show into a book and selling that as merch on my website. Is that cringy to say that I'm hoping I can create merch? I don't know. I think about merch all the time. I think about seeing my logo on a water bottle, on t-shirts, on hats, on coffee mugs. I joke with my parents that that's going to be their Christmas gifts next year, is just all of my logos on everything. So they'll be decked out in all my colors and my symbols. Walking billboards, free marketing in girl math. That's free marketing, but I digress. Okay. Question 8. Are the people around you pushing you forward or holding you back? So as of right now, I think I've done a really good job of really shedding anything that does not serve me anymore. And like as an adult, it gets so much harder to make adult friendships happen and to meet people you actually vibe with. And the older you get, the more you just want to be yourself. And so if you don't meet somebody that clicks with you immediately, you either like can take it or leave it. Of the people that I talk to consistently in my life, or the people that I make time for consistently in my life, like my family or close friends here in Nashville. And I have a few, spread out between like DC and Florida and whatnot, and Philly still. But of the people that I keep around me, I think the vast majority of them are pushing me forward. I don't have anybody in particular that's holding me back, at least not professionally, right? It's possible in my personal life there are people that require more emotional assistance or emotional support. And so as an empath, that might be more draining on me, but I don't necessarily consider that like holding me back. I have enough wherewithal and I think self-awareness, to be honest, that if it started to feel like they were holding me back, I could set a boundary and sustain it. Now, I'm confident in my ability to recognize that if someone is going to compromise what I want out of my life, that I'm not okay with that anymore. So I think for me, mostly the vast majority of anybody that's in my life or that I spend my time with or go out of my way to help, they are people that are going to push me forward. So I hope you take the time to reflect on that as well and think about who's in your circle, and don't be ashamed if it's a really tight, small circle, because you don't need anyone in your life that's going to waste your time, and you don't need anybody in your life that's going to make you feel worse about yourself if you're already doubting things a lot or you're already dealing with negative self-talk. Don't keep anybody around you that treats you less than you deserve to be treated. It's not okay. And if time is your most precious, valuable, or time is your most essential resource, non-renewable resource, I don't think there's anything wrong with you deciding not to waste it on people, places, or things that do not serve you, that do not fill you up with joy, that do not make you feel better when you leave that situation, versus make you feel worse after you leave that situation. Let go of those things. You don't need them. All right. Number 9. If someone else had all of your daily habits, would you bet on them to succeed? Yes. Yes, I would. I'm really proud of how far I've come in my life and the things that I've accepted and changed and moved on from, and the habits that I have now of getting up and taking care of myself, taking care of my dog, taking care of my family, taking care of my coworkers and my friends and myself. I value living my life as close to alignment as possible. And I think that that's a really, really important thing to do, important habit. So I would say that yes, if somebody was living my life the way that I live it right now, I would bet on them to reach their goal, even if it was a different kind of goal from mine, as long as they were truly letting their guard down and engaging in whatever their passion happened to be. They were giving themselves time to actually enjoy something that they're really good at, even if it's just a hobby on the side and they didn't want to turn it into anything. That's okay. You have to start somewhere. And I'm going to bet on the person that's willing to take risks, because at least they are not afraid of failure, because they've realized that failure is giving them data. Failure is helping them learn how to do something better, faster, stronger. So get after it, man. Feel free to copy me if you want. Okay. Question number 10. Are you making choices that future you will thank you for or regret? That's kind of the summary of all 10 questions. That is it. Are you making choices that future you will thank you for or regret? I think future me is going to be so grateful that 30s me spent time realigning and growing and being okay with getting uncomfortable, because that's a skill set. Learning how to navigate things when life throws them your way is really important. And I think future me is going to be so glad that I leaned into what I love, that I did everything I could to listen to my gut and to listen to my intuition and grow my relationship with my intuition and align with that alleged divine gift of discernment. And if that's true, and that's what I've been given on this earth, I think future me is going to be really grateful that I started the building blocks, that I started the foundation of whatever it is right now, that I was brave enough, and I don't know about brave enough, but just fed up enough in 2023, that I was fed up enough to finally say to myself, I don't want to live like this forever. I don't want to feel this way forever. So I think future me is going to be grateful and say thank you for not giving up on us. Thank you for not running away. Thank you for not breaking more promises to yourself than you already have. Thank you for loving yourself enough to try. That's really important. That's what I think future Amanda is going to say to me, or say in general. Think about that. This week, the next couple of days, while you're contemplating all of these questions and, the Die Without Regrets Instagram profile, if you're scrolling through that and looking at his content, think about it. Are you making choices that future you will thank you for or regret? And if future you will regret what you're doing right now, cut that shit out. Cut that shit out, because you deserve better. You deserve better. You want to build a life where you don't feel like this all the time? You have to let go. You have to let go of all the stuff that you think you need, because maybe you don't really need it. You have to let go of the shame and the guilt and the disappointment and the frustration and the agony of what you're going through right now. I'm not saying you cannot grieve. Grieving is a natural part of the process, and healing is going to look a whole lot more like letting go of the same thing over and over and over again, putting a weight down over and over and over again. There's absolutely no reason for you to keep living in regret of your past, regret of your current mistakes. They suck. Yeah, you shouldn't have done it, but you did. So you're going to pick yourself up now, and you're going to dust yourself off, and you're going to tell yourself the truth. I need help with X. I need to stop doing Y. I need to embrace Z. Like, whatever, insert word here, right? Like, I can't tell you what that is unless, we chat and DM and talk to each other about it. But for me personally, I can't get where I want to go if I'm not willing to sacrifice what will not help me get there. If I'm not willing to take a down step maybe socially and embrace personal freedoms in other places. Like if I want to invest in my future, I have to change certain pieces of my lifestyle. That's the truth. And I might lose people when I do that. I might lose friendships. I might get judgment from my family. I might get made fun of on the internet. I don't know, like whatever, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is that I'm being honest with myself and I'm telling myself, you know, the steps you need to take, you know, the things you need to let go of, you know, the mantras and mindsets that are bad for you. You need to flip them. You need to find a way to change them so that way they can benefit you instead of hold you back. And you deserve the same. You deserve to be making choices today that future you will thank you for, instead of future you regretting, man, if only 10 years ago in 2025, I finally was paying attention that I was hitting rock bottom, you know, instead of, oh man, in 2025, I had the opportunity to do this, not that, and I chose that, and I shouldn't have, and I knew better. Shouldn't have. Don't, man. If you're fighting that in your head already, don't freaking do it. Eddie Pinero likes to say that on his motivational podcasts and his speeches and stuff, he says it often. You are one decision away from a completely different life. You are one decision away from a completely different life. And that's amazing because that means you have the power of choice to do something different. If you're upset and you're not living in a positive way, or you're not living in a way that's helping you with your overall well-being, scrap, becoming famous, or scrap, becoming super rich or glamorous or whatever. Are you living a life that's allowing you to just to be healthy and in a happy place, to build a foundation that's even stable for you to jump off from, to build your dreams from? And if you're not, take that seriously. You can't get where you want to go if you are constantly leaving holes and cracks and mismanagement of the foundation of whatever it is that you're trying to build from. It's not good. What did you expect would happen anytime a storm comes? When it rains, or there's a tornado, or the big bad wolf comes and blows your house down? Okay, did you build it with straw? Like every time? Is that why your goal doesn't make any sense? Are you setting yourself up for failure on purpose because procrastinating is easier than trying? Don't do it. Don't. Your daily habits matter. Your choices matter. You have all the power within you already to embrace whatever future you want to make. But to get that started, you have to be honest with yourself. Ask yourself these 10 questions. Get uncomfortable. Write the answers down and reread it back to yourself and see how that makes you feel. Did it make you feel better or worse? And if it made you feel worse, now it's your turn to find a way to make that answer a better answer. So that way, the next time you come back and you ask yourself these 10 questions, you will feel like you're moving forward and fulfilling your potential, because current you is not putting up with bullshit anymore. Current you is not feeding yourself excuses anymore. Current you is taking responsibility for the choices you know you need to make and the really hard decisions that need to happen. Letting go of all the things that tempt you away from that future life. All the people that are toxic and holding you back. All the people that don't really care about your livelihood and keeping you down, because it's so much easier to manipulate someone who has low self-confidence, who is lonely, who is angry, who is scared, who has no self-worth. That is ripe for the taking, and that's not fair to you. You deserve just as much as I do to reach your goals or fulfill your potential. But it's up to you to decide how you want to get there. Everybody's journey is going to be different. Every wanderer has their own map that they need to follow. So what does yours say? What's the first step you're supposed to take? Let me know. But I gotta go. I gotta go call my mom, and I gotta go check on Dirks because I think he was barking at somebody outside. So I gotta get that handled. But you know the drill. Like, subscribe, leave a review. All the content and references will be in the show notes. All the contact information will be in the show notes. You can find me at hello@podcast.com. You can send me DMs on Instagram, YouTube. We are on TikTok occasionally, but not as often as Instagram and YouTube. But go listen there, subscribe there, watch there. It'll be fun now that I'm learning how to make all these videos. The footage won't always be super pristine because I don't have pristine equipment yet, but we will get there. But yeah, go stream it all. I appreciate every single one of you so much. Anytime you share, anytime you comment on any of the content, I really do appreciate it. I cannot make this the best show possible without you and without your feedback. And anytime you share the show with someone, or you share it with a loved one or friends, or even just send me your reviews, it means the absolute world to me. I'm so happy that there are people that, one, feel like I do. It makes me feel better because I don't want to feel alone either. So thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me, even if it's in a really, really small way. I see you, I appreciate you, and I am so grateful for you, more than you will ever realize. So thank you. Thank you for being here. And remember, wanderers are always welcome.